take the number that we need in order to do our job, which is to provide a thorough and efficient education. And unfortunately, those two words, neither of which means cheap. So I'm sorry, we're not going to raise it to 4.8% or 4.79% as we could in the, as was voted on in the proposed preliminary budget, because we don't need it. We have made great sacrifices to ensure that it's as low as practicable, and that's the reason why. So if somebody wants to take a cheap shot trying to claim that we should raise it to 4.79% or otherwise that we're hypocritical, there is a set of words that are not polite to use over the microphone that could describe that, but it has to do with a bovine effluent. And that's what I think of that particular line of thought. Now, Ms. Scanlon, you have another comment.
Well, I'm not going to make any more arguments on this particular motion, but I do have a procedural question. I think we've spent enough time on it. Since we adopted, or since we moved the two of them together, and since my amendment says 45.95 mils, we have to do anything for the
Yes.
first motion?
Yeah, we have to adjust its millage number 2.
Okay.
All of the mill numbers have to change.
Okay.
Both motions. Is there any other commentary? Mr. Earnshaw.
I move to end debate on the amended motion.
Second. It is a motion to end debate. The 2/3 majority will close debate. All those in favor of ending debate, say, raise your, call the roll. We'll do this officially.
Mr. Earnshaw.
Aye.
Mr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Gannon.
Aye.
Ms. Fuller.
Aye.
Mr. Politano.
Aye.
Mr. Richmond.
Aye.
Mr. Stoltz.
Aye.
Ms. Hyde. Mr. Ballard.
Aye. Now we will be voting on the amended motion. If the amended motion passes, that will be the tax, the budget setting motion for the 2011-12 school year. If the motion fails, we will fall back to the original motion. Ms. Birdsall, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Earnshaw.
Nay.
Mr. Rhodes.
No.
Ms. Fuller.
No.
Mr. Richmond.
No.
Mr. Stoltz.
Aye.
Ms. Hyde. Ms. Gannon.
Aye.
Mr. Ballard.
Nay.
5 nays.
No.
Mr. Politano.
Mr. Politano.
Aye.
Okay, 5 nays, 4 ayes.
We now fall back to the original motion. Is there any discussion on the original motion? Bless you. Allergies. All right, Ms. Birdsall, will you call the roll, please? On the original motion, 1.8%.
Ms. Fuller.
Aye.
Ms. Gannon.
No.
Mr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Mr. Earnshaw.
Aye.
Mr. Politano.
No.
Mr. Richmond.
Aye.
Mr. Stoltz.
No.
Ms. Hyde. Mr. Ballard.
Aye.
5 ayes.
The motion is adopted. And school district budget for 2011-12 has been set. The next item on the agenda is the report of the superintendent of schools. Is there any objection to moving items 1 and I believe 2 on the same motion?
So moved.
All right. Is there any discussion, or did Dr. Seidenberger wish to make any comments? Is there any discussion on that motion? Ms. Birdsall, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Earnshaw.
Aye.
Ms. Hyde. Mr. Stoltz.
Aye.
Mr. Richmond. Mr. Politano.
Aye.
Ms. Fuller.
Aye.
Ms. Gannon.
Aye.
Mr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Mr. Ballard.
Aye.
9 ayes.
We have 2 assistant principals here who were just hired under the motion we've just passed, and I think it's tradition that they come up here and introduce themselves.
So I'd like to introduce first Andrea Edmonds. She's of our high school staff. We're glad to have her on board. Andrea? Andrea has served in a substitute capacity this year. Now she's official. And also, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Zach Fuller, who's coming to us from the Central Bucks School District. So Zach, congratulations, welcome aboard.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is under facilities, item 8.1, lease with the Cambridge Day School for Lower Macungie Elementary School. Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
Second, Dr. Seidenberger, would you like to explain to the press and the public what this item is?
Well, basically, we've been, since we vacated Lower Macungie Elementary School, the board invested some funds a couple years ago when they brought that building back to life. And like a suburban district that we are, we've received multiple requests from parents for help with daycare. And so we found some willing concerns that were interested, and so we sort of did a walkthrough, had people interested, interviewed a bunch of interested parties, and the group that seemed to fit our philosophy most was Cambridge. And so we've been working with those folks for about the last 3 months to try to put together a lease where they would be able to use the Lower Macungie Elementary School for all day K, which doesn't involve some of our students, but also provide child care services before and after school. So we're really happy to add that to an array of parents, and we'll be transporting kids to that facility from Shoemaker, Macungie, Willow Lane, and West Coastville.
Okay.
The other philosophy, Mr. Ballard, is there are certain costs, even though we're not using that building, there are certain costs with mothballing that facility. And so what we're attempting to do is keep the building up, but also at the same time, this lease will offset our costs for those costs to keep it up and running.
Are there any questions for Dr. Seidenberger about or Mr. Glancy about this lease? I believe it's been reviewed by the solicitor. Dr. Seidenberger, do you have any reservations about this lease or the operation of this?
No, Cambridge is an outstanding organization. They have many facilities. There are several. There's one in Lower Macungie Township now. There's also another fine facility in Bethlehem. It's a company with a great reputation, and we're pleased to partner with them.
Okay, as I understand it, we will be leasing it initially on a yearly basis, but it's renewable up to 5 years.
That's correct.
Okay, and that the rent increases each of the years that it is extended. 3% per year. Okay, if there's no further questions, Mrs. Bertzel, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Richline.
Aye.
Mr. Stoltz.
Aye.
Ms. Hyde. Mr. Earnshaw.
Aye.
Mr. Rhodes.
Aye.
Ms. Gannon. Ms. Fuller. Mr. Politano.
Aye.
Mr. Bell.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Okay, item 9.1 is a bid opening report. We opened bids on the system integration of the facility management control system, HVAC systems professional maintenance service contract. Items 2, 3, 4, and 5. Does anyone have any objection to moving all of those together?
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion of any of the items under that package? Attorney Ms. Birdsell, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Gaddis,
Aye.
Mr. Rose,
Aye.
Mr. Earnshaw,
Aye.
Ms. Hyde, Mr. Stoltz,
Aye.
Ms. Fuller,
Aye.
Mr. Napolitano,
Aye.
Mr. Richmond,
Aye.
Mr. Ballard,
Aye.
9 ayes.
New business to come before the board?
Uh,
Ms. Fuller?
I just wanted to mention, I will not be at the July meeting, July 11th meeting, and typically at that meeting I make a report on the vocational technical school, and I just wanted our board members to know that Dr. Hornberger has submitted his resignation, which will be effective December 31st of this year. So there will be a search for I hesitate to use the replacement, a search for someone to take that position. And I simply wanted you to be aware of that. I have every confidence that a very fine individual will emerge to lead that school, because Dr. Hornberger has set systems in place and a great staff in place to keep the momentum moving forward.
Okay. I wish to report that this is the craziest legislative session I have ever seen. We have a budget going through the back room at a high rate of speed and being changed hourly. We've had hearings called on bills and then suddenly canceled because they couldn't give the 5 days notice that they need to give because they're trying to rush it through so fast. And they had to be told what the law was in order to get them to cancel the hearing because they're on voucher bills. We've had a bill proposed that suddenly come to life to prevent school boards in an election year from conducting any business over $100 with fines for school directors who participate in any vote after October until the reorganization meeting in December. So October and November would be essentially useless out of the entire year because you couldn't vote on anything except procedural and ministerial duties. I mean, you can't spend any money. Nobody knows what those two terms mean. They're not defined anywhere in the Constitution or the school code. And it apparently all stems from two senators, Senator Piccola and Senator White, who had a problem with one of their rural local school boards doing a building program. They sent a letter to PDE under the table without telling anybody, asking PDE not to approve any of the Act 34 hearings for this thing, and then they put this bill in because what they are trying to do is, quote, prevent lame duck school boards, that is, ones who still have 2 months to go, or actually from May they have a number of months, from doing anything before the new majority gets swept in, quote, apparently in November. So there's all of that going on, plus voucher bills are suddenly popping up in different things. There's talk about amending the school code to pop in a voucher bill because they can't get it passed in the format that they want. They're expanding it to families that have $78,000 worth of income to take a taxpayer-funded voucher to go to a school that doesn't have to take the same tests to prove that they're getting the taxpayers' money's worth, and all kinds of things going on right now. And we, as of this hour, we still don't know if there's even a budget bill out there yet, but they're trying to pass it by the 30th. So please contact your state legislators' offices, your state legislators, tell them, stop this madness. First of all, if there's anything that doesn't have to be passed right now, give some time, some people to look at it and weigh in on it. We don't need vouchers right now. We don't need bills to restrict school districts. We don't need a whole lot of things. We can do a lot of inspection of the bills that are proposed over the summer, and they come back in the fall. They can still pass them if they want to, but at least people will feel that they've had a chance to comment on them. The public is not being given an opportunity to comment on many of these